Chosen one, why does your heart still ache when you see couples holding hands at the grocery store? Why do you wake up at 3 a.m. reaching across cold sheets, expecting warmth that isn't there anymore? Why does everyone else seem to find their person while you're left wondering if God wrote you a different ending? Stop right there. What I'm about to tell you will shatter every assumption you've made about your future. Your next relationship, the one heaven has been preparing while you've been healing, it won't look anything like what you've known. And the person God is sending, they're not who you've been scanning the room for. They're not who your mind has been rehearsing conversations with. Listen to me carefully, beloved. You've loved deeply, haven't you? You've given your whole heart and watched it get returned in pieces. You've buried dreams in the same grave as promises that died too young. You've convinced yourself that chapter is closed, that at your age, God's moved on to blessing younger hearts with fresh starts. That's the lie that ends tonight. God didn't bury that desire in you, He planted it. There's a reason you still feel that flutter when you hear love stories. There's a reason you still dream about companionship, even when you tell yourself you're fine alone. That longing isn't your weakness, it's your prophecy. Your next relationship will not be random. It will be prophetic, divine, orchestrated by the same God who said, "It is not good for man to be alone." But here's what's breaking my heart right now. You're terrified, aren't you? Terrified of being disappointed again. Terrified of opening that door and finding emptiness on the other side. Terrified that maybe you're too old, too damaged, too complicated for anyone to truly want. What if I told you that the love you've been praying for in secret is already looking for you? What if heaven has been preparing someone who sees your scars and calls them beautiful? What if this divine collision is closer than your doubt has allowed you to believe? Before we go deeper into this mystery, I want to pause and honor every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their longing. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your open heart, it all matters. And if this message is already stirring something in your soul, go ahead and let that seed of faith take root. If your spirit is already trembling, if something deep inside you just whispered, yes, type Amen in the comments right now. Let heaven see your agreement. Let the angels take notice that you're ready to believe again. Because what I'm about to reveal will prove that your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Tell me something honest. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, "I'm ready for love again"? When was the last time you truly believed that God still had someone written into your story? Or have you convinced yourself that loneliness is just the price you pay for getting older, for having loved and lost, for carrying scars that nobody wants to touch? What if I told you that every silent breakfast you've eaten alone wasn't abandonment? What if those endless nights when the house felt too quiet, when the bed felt too big, when you wondered if anyone would even notice if you were gone? What if all of that wasn't God forgetting you, but God preparing you? You see, beloved, there's something happening in the spiritual realm that your natural eyes cannot see. While you've been sitting in what feels like exile, heaven has been in the workshop, and you are the clay on the wheel. Think about Jeremiah 18, when God sent the prophet to the potter's house. The potter was working at his wheel, and the vessel he was making became marred in his hands. So what did he do? Did he throw it away? Did he call it worthless? No. He reworked it into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make it. That's you right now. Every heartbreak that shattered you, it wasn't destruction, it was reconstruction. Every betrayal that left you questioning love itself, it wasn't the end. It was the softening of what pride had hardened. Every disappointment that made you pull back, it wasn't punishment, it was the Master's hand reshaping what grief had bent. You thought you were breaking, but you were being broken open. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your loneliness wasn't random, it was rehearsal. God has been using this season, this painful, stretching, lonely season, to prepare you for a kind of love you've never experienced before. Not the immature love of your youth when you thought romance was fireworks and butterflies. Not the desperate love of your middle years when you stayed in situations that were slowly killing your spirit because you were afraid of being alone. This is different. This is divine alignment. And here's what's going to shake you to your core. Right now, at this very moment, there is someone whose spirit is being shaped to match yours. Someone who's been walking through their own wilderness. Someone who's been crying their own tears. Someone who's been questioning if God still sees them. You think you're alone in this preparation? You're not. Heaven is working on two hearts simultaneously, refining both of you in separate fires, so that when you meet, you won't just be compatible, you'll be consecrated for each other. But I need you to understand something crucial about this divine preparation. God isn't giving you a partner just so you won't be lonely. He's not handing you a companion just to fill empty hours. No, chosen one, God is giving you a witness. Someone who will see you the way heaven sees you. Someone who will look at your scars and recognize them as proof of your survival. Someone who will hear your story and say, "Me too." This isn't about finding someone to complete you. This is about heaven sending someone to confirm you. Think about Ruth and Boaz. Ruth had lost everything: her husband, her homeland, her future. She was a widow in a foreign land, gleaning leftover grain just to survive. She didn't wake up that morning expecting anything but another day of barely getting by. But Boaz had been watching her. He saw her faithfulness, he saw her character, he saw what others overlooked. And when he spoke to her in Ruth 2:12, he said, "May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Boaz wasn't just attracted to Ruth's appearance. He was moved by her spirit. He recognized something in her that matched something in him. That's the kind of relationship God is preparing for you. Not surface-level attraction, not convenience dating, but soul recognition. But here's where it gets mysterious. Here's where your mind is going to struggle to accept what your spirit already knows. The person God is sending? They're not who you've been looking for. They're not who you've been praying for in your limited understanding. They might not match the checklist you made when you were younger and thought you knew what you needed. And when I tell you who this person is, your soul will tremble. Because it will make so much sense and no sense at the same time. It will feel like coming home and stepping into the unknown simultaneously. It will be familiar and foreign, comfortable and challenging, expected and absolutely shocking. Do you feel that stirring in your chest right now? That's not anxiety, that's recognition. Your spirit is beginning to remember what your mind has forgotten, that you were never created to walk this earth alone. That the desire for companionship isn't weakness, it's design. That even now, even at your age, even after everything you've been through, God is still writing love into your story. But the question burning in your heart is the same one I can feel pulsing through this very moment. Who is this person that heaven has been preparing? And why will it shock everyone when they see you together? The answer is closer than you think. And it's about to change everything you believed about your future. You know what nobody talks about at church potlucks? The truth about your failed relationships. Nobody wants to hear about the marriage that lasted 43 years until it didn't. Nobody asks about the person who promised forever and left you with half a house and a broken heart. Nobody mentions the betrayal that happened in your 60s when you thought you were too old to be played for a fool. But I'm going to talk about it, because your silence is killing your future. Listen to me, beloved. That divorce that shattered you at 72, that wasn't God punishing you. That spouse who walked away after decades, they weren't your destiny, they were your detour. Every relationship that ended, every love that faded, every promise that got buried, none of it was wasted. It was warfare. You think you failed at love. But what if love failed to reach you because hell was blocking the real thing? Let me show you something in Scripture that will change how you see every heartbreak you've carried. In Genesis 24, Abraham sends his servant to find a wife for Isaac. But notice this, the servant doesn't just pick any woman. He prays specifically, "Let the woman who offers water to me and my camels be the one you have appointed." Appointed. Not attracted to, not convenient. Appointed by heaven. Your past relationships? They were never appointed. They were auditions, rehearsals, rough drafts of a story God was still writing. You weren't rejected, chosen one. You were redirected. But here's where it cuts deep. How many years did you waste trying to fix something God was trying to finish? How many nights did you pray for reconciliation when heaven was orchestrating your release? You called it abandonment. God called it extraction. You saw doors closing. He saw prison gates opening. That man who couldn't love you, right? He wasn't capable of receiving what you carried. That woman who betrayed your trust? She wasn't spiritually mature enough to steward your heart. And that loneliness you felt since they left? It wasn't emptiness. It was preparation. God was clearing space for something you couldn't imagine while holding on to something that had expired. Think about it like this. Your past partners were chapters in a book you thought you were writing. But this next one is the book itself. Everything before was prologue, setup, character development. You were learning your worth by discovering what wasn't worthy of you. The Apostle Paul writes in Romans 8:28, "All things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." All things. Not just the victories, not just the answered prayers. All things. Including the man who left you for a younger woman. Including the wife whose mental illness you couldn't heal. Including the partner who died and took half your soul with them. But let me tell you what the enemy doesn't want you to know. There has been spiritual warfare over your love life that you never saw. Demonic assignments specifically designed to send you the wrong people at the right time, or the right people at the wrong time, or nobody at all when you needed somebody most. Why? Because hell knows something about your future. Hell knows that when you finally connect with your God-appointed companion, you become dangerous. Two people walking in divine alignment create a spiritual force that threatens the kingdom of darkness. Your future relationship isn't just about your happiness, it's about your assignment. This is why some relationships never happened even though you wanted them desperately. You prayed for that person to love you back. You begged God to make it work. But heaven was silent because heaven was protecting you. That person you thought got away, God blocked them. That opportunity you thought you missed, God closed it. That connection that never materialized, God cancelled it. Not because he's cruel, because he's strategic. 1 Corinthians 2-9 declares, "Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him." You couldn't see what God was protecting you for because your eyes were fixed on what you thought you wanted. But here's the revelation that should shake you to your core. You didn't lose love in those failed relationships. You lost what wasn't sent by God. You didn't lose your soulmate. You lost your cellmate. You didn't lose your future. You lost your past disguised as your future. Every tear you cried over the wrong person was watering the ground for the right one. Every night you spent alone was teaching you how to be whole by yourself, so you wouldn't need someone else to complete you. Every heartbreak was breaking off the parts of you that were willing to settle for less than divine appointment. You thought you were being punished with solitude. God was preparing you for sacred union. But I need to ask you something that's going to sting. Are you still carrying them? Are you still rehearsing old conversations in your mind? Are you still checking their social media? Are you still hoping they'll realize what they lost? Because, beloved, you cannot receive your future while clutching your past. You cannot walk into new love with old wounds still bleeding. The parts of you that you hide, the bitterness, the distrust, the fear of trying again, those are the very parts God needs to heal before he can send what he's prepared. If this is speaking to your spirit right now, if something in your chest is breaking open, declare it out loud where you are. Lord, heal the parts of me I hide. Because the love you've been praying for can't enter through walls you've built to keep pain out. And what's coming next will require you to be vulnerable again in ways that terrify you. Are you ready to let go of who hurt you so you can hold who's coming? You think you know who God has for you, don't you? You've been scanning faces at church. You've been hoping that widower down the street might finally notice you. You've been wondering if maybe, just maybe, that old flame from 40 years ago will come back into your life and make everything make sense again. But what if I told you that heaven operates on a frequency your mind hasn't tuned into yet? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. The person God is sending isn't someone you've been watching. They've been watching you, not in some creepy, uncomfortable way, but with the eyes of someone who recognizes something sacred. Someone who sees you getting your mail every morning and thinks, there's strength in that person's walk. Someone who hears you laugh at the diner and thinks, that joy survived something dark. This person doesn't see your past as baggage. They see it as proof. You know what breaks my heart? You've been apologizing for your scars. You've been hiding the very things that make you qualified for the love God is sending. You think your divorce disqualifies you. You think your years alone have made you too set in your ways. You think your age means you should just be grateful for companionship instead of expecting chemistry. Stop diminishing what God is about to do. The person heaven has chosen for you doesn't need you to be younger. They need you to be you. They don't want someone who hasn't lived. They want someone who's survived. They're not looking for perfection wrapped in pretty paper. They're looking for wisdom carved by fire. Let me paint you a picture that's going to shake something loose in your spirit. Imagine 2 candles, one burning in a kitchen in Brooklyn, one burning in a living room in Queens. Different rooms, different boroughs, different lives. But suddenly, inexplicably, both flames lean in the same direction, pulled by the same wind, responding to the same invisible force. That's you and this person right now. You've been burning in separate spaces, living separate stories, carrying separate pain. But heaven has been orchestrating a collision that will shock everyone who thought they knew your ending. 2 roads that never touched until destiny bends the map. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't about filling your loneliness. This is about fulfilling your assignment. Stay with me because this is where it gets prophetic. 1 Corinthians 7:7 tells us, each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Did you catch that? Your next relationship isn't just about you finally getting what you've been praying for. It's about God aligning 2 assignments that are more powerful together than they ever could be apart. You think you've been waiting for someone to complete you. No, you've been waiting for someone to join you. There's a difference. Completion is about filling emptiness. Joining is about multiplication of purpose. This person God is sending, they're not coming to rescue you from your life. They're coming to partner with you in your calling. They carry something you need. You carry something they need. And when heaven puts you in the same room, the atmosphere shifts. But you're scared, aren't you? You're thinking, what if I'm wrong? What if I get my hopes up and nothing happens? What if this is just another sermon making me feel things that won't materialize? Listen to what Proverbs 13:12 says. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. You know why your heart feels sick? Because you've been hoping in the wrong direction. You've been looking at who's available instead of who's appointed. This person isn't convenient. They're chosen. You think you know who it is. That person who's been so obvious in their interest. That friend who keeps dropping hints. That neighbor who always seems to be outside when you are. No, you don't know. Because what God is about to do doesn't follow your logic. It doesn't match your type. It doesn't fit your checklist. This person might be someone you've completely overlooked. Someone you've dismissed as just a friend. Someone you never considered because they don't match the mental picture you've been carrying for years. Remember Ruth and Boaz? Ruth was a young widow from Moab. Boaz was a wealthy landowner from Bethlehem. Different generations, different backgrounds, different everything. She went to glean leftover grain in his field, not looking for love, just looking to survive. But Ruth 2:12 records Boaz saying to her, "May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." He saw her character before he saw her circumstances. He saw her faith before he saw her face. And that relationship didn't just change their story, it changed history. Their great-grandson was King David. Their lineage brought forth Jesus Christ himself. Your next relationship isn't just about you holding hands on the porch. It's about what God wants to birth through your union. It's about the lives you'll touch together that you could never reach alone. It's about the legacy you'll leave that requires both of your stories to be written. This person is connected to your assignment, not your loneliness. And right now, they're closer than you think. They might be praying the same prayer you're praying. They might be watching the same message you're watching. They might be typing Amen in these very comments, feeling the same stirring in their chest that you're feeling right now. But here's the question that will determine everything. When God reveals who they are, will you have the courage to say yes? Now, listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will demolish every lie you've believed about your future. Your next relationship is not with someone from your past. It's not with that person who left. It's not with the one who broke your heart in 1987. It's not even with someone you've already met at church, at the grocery store, or at your grandchild's birthday party. Your next relationship is with someone God has been preparing in silence, someone whose name you don't know yet, but whose spirit already feels strangely familiar. And here's why that feeling exists, because their destiny has been woven into yours since before either of you took your first breath. You prayed for them without knowing their name. You cried out to God in those lonely 3 a.m. hours, and heaven heard every word. But God wasn't searching your past to answer that prayer. He was preparing your future. Let me shock you with this truth. They are not returning from your history. They are coming from your calling. Do you understand what that means? It means the person heaven is sending isn't someone who knew you when you were young and strong. They're someone who will meet you exactly as you are right now, with your silver hair, your hard-earned wisdom, your beautiful scars, your depth that only decades of living can create. They won't wish you were who you used to be. They'll love who you've become. This is what terrifies you, isn't it? You look in the mirror and you see age. You see wrinkles that weren't there 10 years ago. You see a body that moves slower, hands that shake a little, a face that tells stories you wish you could erase, and you've convinced yourself that nobody could want this version of you. But that's not what God sees. That's not what your divine appointment sees. In Genesis 2:18, God said, "It is not good for man to be alone. Not, it is not good for young man to be alone. Not, it is not good for perfect man to be alone. Just man, just you." At any age, in any condition, with any history, Abraham met Sarah when life was just beginning. But God gave them Isaac when Abraham was 100 years old. When the world said it was impossible, when logic said it was finished, when even Sarah laughed at the absurdity, God said, "Your greatest blessing comes in your latter years." You think you've missed your window, you think your chapter is closed, you think at 70, 75, 80 years old, love has moved on without you. That's the voice of the enemy, and he's a liar. Here's what's really happening while you've been grieving what you lost. Someone else has been on a journey too. Someone else has been healing from their own heartbreak. Someone else has been praying for companionship, for understanding, for someone who gets it. Someone else has been refined by fire, shaped by pain, made tender by loss. And God has been orchestrating both of your paths to intersect at exactly the right moment. Not when you were younger and foolish, not when you still had lessons to learn the hard way, but now, in this season, when you're finally wise enough to recognize real love, when you're finally healed enough to offer healthy love, when you're finally desperate enough to appreciate divine love. Your soulmate is not behind you. Your soulmate is ahead of you. Let that land in your spirit. Let that shatter every resignation you've been carrying. Let that breathe life back into that part of your heart you declared dead. Ruth was a widow, past her prime by ancient standards, gleaning leftover grain in someone else's field just to survive. No prospects, no hope, no reason to believe her story would be anything but survival until death. But Boaz saw her, not as leftovers, as a treasure, and their union became part of the lineage of Jesus Christ himself. You are not leftovers, beloved. You are not past your expiration date. You are not charity. You are not settling. You are not someone's backup plan. You are the answer to someone else's prayer, and they are the answer to yours. But I need you to understand something that will change everything. This meeting won't happen while you're looking backward. It won't happen while you're rehearsing old conversations with ghosts. It won't happen while you're comparing every new person to someone who's gone. This divine collision requires you to turn around, to face forward, to believe that God's best gift doesn't come from resurrection of the past, but from revelation of the future. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time, not in your timing, not when you thought it should happen, in His time." And His time for you is not over. It's not ending, it's accelerating. The person coming isn't looking for who you were. They're looking for who you are. They don't need your youth. They need your wisdom. They don't want your perfection. They want your authenticity. They're not intimidated by your journey. They're inspired by your survival. And right now, at this very moment, they're out there, living their life, healing their wounds, preparing their heart, getting ready for the day when God says, "It's time. Go meet the one I've been telling you about." What if that day is closer than your doubt has allowed you to believe? What if this message finding you today is not coincidence but confirmation? What if your next chapter isn't about looking back with regret, but looking forward with expectation? If you receive this word, if something in your spirit just woke up and said yes, type it in the comments right now. My future is not done. Because, beloved, what's coming next will prove that God saves His finest wine for last. And you're about to taste it. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this with me. Somewhere in the vastness of this country, maybe Arizona, maybe Montana, maybe right here in New York, there's a canyon, deep, ancient, carved by rivers that have run for millennia. And on opposite sides of this canyon, two people have been walking for decades, 30 years, 40 years, maybe longer. You are one of them. You've been walking your side of that canyon your entire adult life, through sunrise and sunset, through seasons that changed the landscape but never changed your direction. You kept moving forward because that's what survivors do. That's what the faithful do. Even when your legs got tired. Even when you wondered if anyone else was out there. Even when you convinced yourself that walking alone was just your portion in this life. But here's what you couldn't see from where you were standing. On the other side of that canyon, hidden by distance, obscured by the very depth of the chasm between you, someone else was walking too. Step by step, year by year, carrying their own scars, nursing their own wounds, whispering their own prayers into the wind. And every single step you took brought you closer to the same bridge. You didn't know it was being built. How could you? You were too busy surviving your divorce, too occupied with burying your spouse, too consumed with raising children who needed you, too focused on just making it through another day without falling apart completely. But while you were walking, while you were weeping, while you were wondering if God had forgotten what you whispered to Him in secret, heaven was constructing something. Beam by beam, plank by plank, prayer by prayer. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Ecclesiastes 3:11 tells us that God has made everything beautiful in its time, not in your time. Not when you thought you were ready. In His time. And that word beautiful in Hebrew, yafa, it doesn't just mean pretty. It means perfectly suited, precisely fitted, divinely matched. God wasn't delaying your relationship. He was designing it. Think about this. What if you had met this person 20 years ago? Would you have recognized them? Would you have been ready for what they carry? Would you have had the wisdom to steward the kind of love heaven is preparing? Or would you have brought all your unhealed wounds, all your unresolved pain, all your unprocessed trauma into something sacred and poisoned it before it could bloom? You needed those 20 years, not to be punished, to be prepared. Every heartbreak you endured taught you what real love isn't. Every disappointment refined your discernment. Every season of loneliness deepened your capacity for gratitude. Every night you spent on your knees crying out to God was actually building the bridge. Your tears were mortar, your prayers were steel cables. Your faithfulness in the waiting was the foundation that would hold the weight of what's coming. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. So many of you have given up. You've stopped believing. You've convinced yourself that the canyon is too wide, the distance too far, the time too late. You look at your age and think, this is it. This is my story. Alone until the end. That's not faith talking. That's fear. And fear is a liar. The Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 8:28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not some things. Not the easy things, not the things that made sense at the time. All things. That divorce, God's using it. That loss, God's working through it. That loneliness that's carved you hollow, God's creating space for something you couldn't have contained when you were younger. You are each the answer to each other's prayer. Think about that for a moment. Right now, today, there's someone out there who's been praying for exactly what you carry, not someone like you. Your specific wisdom, your particular kindness, your tested faith, your proven endurance. They've been asking God for someone who understands pain because they've walked through it. Someone who knows how to forgive because they've needed forgiveness. Someone who won't run at the first sign of difficulty because they've already survived what would have destroyed weaker souls. And you? You've been praying for someone who can see past your scars to the gold underneath. Someone who won't be intimidated by your strength because they have their own. Someone who understands that real love isn't about perfection, it's about two imperfect people choosing each other anyway. That person exists. And they're walking toward the same bridge. I can hear some of you thinking, but I'm 73 years old, I'm 68, I'm 82. These things don't happen to people my age. Says who? Says a culture that's forgotten what the Bible actually teaches. Abraham was 75 when God called him to start over. Sarah was 90 when she held her miracle. Moses was 80 when his greatest adventure began. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your authorization. Because only someone who's lived long enough to be broken and healed again can handle the kind of love God gives to those he trusts. God didn't delay your relationship, he was building your bridge. And that bridge, it's stronger than anything you could have built in your youth. It's been stress-tested by storms you've weathered. It's been reinforced by faith you've proven. It's been blessed by prayers you've prayed when no one was listening but heaven. The question isn't whether the bridge exists. The question is, are you ready to step onto it? Because chosen one, you're closer than you think. And what's waiting on the other side will prove that God's timing is always perfect. Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one. You can't receive what's coming if you're still clutching what's gone. I need you to understand something that's going to shake you to your core. That relationship, heaven is preparing for you. It won't fit through the door of your heart if that door is still barricaded with bitterness from the last person who walked out. You've been holding on to pain like it's proof you loved deeply. But beloved, that pain has become a prison guard, and it's time to fire it. Heal the old attachments, not because they didn't matter, but because they did. That marriage that ended after 43 years, it taught you what covenant means. That partner who broke your trust, they showed you what you'll never tolerate again. That love that died too young, it proved your heart still works, still feels, still believes in something bigger than loneliness. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. You're sitting in that empty house, staring at photos of what was, whispering to ghosts who can't answer back. And meanwhile, God is standing at your door with someone new, and you won't even open it because you've convinced yourself the story ended when they left. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here. The old has gone." Not the old is hanging around making you miserable. Gone. But you have to let it go. So right now, I want you to do something that might terrify you. I want you to open your heart again, not recklessly, not desperately, but intentionally, with the wisdom of someone who's been burned and the faith of someone who still believes in fire. You know what your problem is? You've been praying for desire instead of discernment. You've been asking God to send you someone who makes you feel young again, someone who fills the void, someone who stops the ache. But that's not what you need, beloved. That's what got you hurt the last time. What you need to pray for is discernment, the ability to recognize God's voice when He says, "This one," not because they're perfect, but because they're prepared for you. The wisdom to see the difference between chemistry and compatibility, between attraction and anointing, between what feels good and what is good. Proverbs 3:5-6 instructs us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Your understanding led you wrong before. Your heart lied to you. Your feelings betrayed you. But God sees what you can't see. He knows what you can't know. And if you'll trust His discernment over your desire, He'll bring you someone who doesn't just complete you, but complements the work He's already done in you. But here's the part that's going to challenge everything you believe about your future. You have to stop assuming your story is finished. You have to stop telling yourself that love is for the young, that companionship is for the lucky, that your chapter closed when you buried your spouse or signed those divorce papers or watched them walk away. God is not done writing your story. He's just finished with the rough draft. You think you're in the epilogue? You're in the setup for the greatest plot twist of your life. You think you're winding down? God's about to wind you up. You think your best days are behind you? Beloved, your best days haven't even been written yet. And here's what's going to shock you about God's timing. He doesn't move on your schedule. He doesn't wait until you feel ready. He doesn't ask permission to blow your mind. Genesis 18 tells us Sarah was 90 years old when God gave her Isaac. 90. She laughed at the promise because it seemed impossible, but God specializes in suddenly. Expect God to move suddenly, not slowly, not gradually. Suddenly. You're going to wake up one Tuesday morning and everything will be different. You're going to walk into that coffee shop you've been going to for 5 years, and this time, someone will be sitting in the corner who wasn't there before. You're going to answer that phone call you almost ignored, and the voice on the other end will feel strangely familiar even though you've never heard it before. This relationship will arrive quietly. No trumpets, no angels announcing from rooftops. Just a gentle knock on the door of your heart that you almost didn't hear because you'd gotten so used to the silence. But, beloved, when it arrives, it will shake everything loudly. Your family will be stunned, your friends will be speechless, even you will stand in the mirror asking, "How did this happen? How did God do this?" Because this love won't look like your past, it will look like your future. This love will not drain you, it will deliver you. It won't take from you, it will add to you. It won't diminish your walk with God, it will deepen it. Because when God authors the relationship, both people are pointing each other toward heaven. If you're ready, if you're truly ready to stop living in yesterday and start believing in tomorrow, write this in the comments right now. Lord, prepare me for the person you chose. But are you ready for what happens when you actually mean those words? Chosen one, we've walked a long road together tonight. You came here carrying questions, carrying doubt, carrying the weight of years that whispered you were too late, too broken, too forgotten to ever feel that kind of love again. But something shifted in you as these words washed over your spirit, didn't it? Let me tell you what's really happening right now. This isn't just a message you stumbled across while scrolling through YouTube at 2 a.m. This is a divine interruption. Heaven saw you reaching for hope in the darkness, and God said, "Enough. It's time to tell them the truth. Your next relationship will shock everyone, not because it's scandalous, not because it makes no sense to human logic, but because it will be so clearly orchestrated by the hand of the Almighty that even doubters will have to whisper, 'That's God.'" You see, when heaven builds something, it doesn't need your permission to be impossible. When the Creator of the universe decides to write your love story, He doesn't consult with your age, your past, your mistakes, or your mirror. He consults with His purposes. And beloved, His purposes for you are not finished. Listen to me carefully. Romans 8:28 declares, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose." All things, not some things, not the easy things. Everything you've survived, everything you've lost, everything that tried to convince you that love was over, it was all working together to prepare you for what's coming next. You are not too old. Let me say that again so it penetrates the deepest chambers of your heart. You are not too old. Sarah was 90 when she held Isaac. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over baby Jesus. God doesn't retire His promises when you hit 65. He doesn't put your heart on a shelf because society says your season has passed. You are not too late. Abraham waited 25 years for the promise. Hannah wept year after year before Samuel was born. Elizabeth was called barren until the angel appeared. Delay is not denial, beloved. Delay is preparation. While you've been waiting, God has been working. While you've been healing, heaven has been positioning. While you've been learning to breathe again after loss, the Almighty has been preparing someone who will make you remember why your heart kept beating. You are not overlooked. Psalm 139:17, 1:8 says, "How precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand." You think God forgets about the deepest desires He planted in your soul. You think the one who knit you together in your mother's womb somehow lost track of the longing He placed in your chest. No. You've been seen, you've been known, you've been remembered every single second of every single day. Heaven still writes love stories. Not fairy tales, not Hollywood fantasies that fade when reality hits, real love stories. The kind where two broken people discover that their cracks line up perfectly and suddenly light pours through. The kind where scars become sacred, where history becomes testimony, where age becomes wisdom that knows how to cherish what's been given. And beloved, yours is next. But I need you to understand something that will change everything about how you walk into tomorrow morning. The person God is sending, and yes, I said is sending, present tense, active, happening right now. They're not coming to finish your life. They're not coming to keep you company while you wait for heaven. They're not coming to be your nurse or your burden or your consolation prize for surviving this long. They're coming to begin the chapter you prayed you'd live long enough to see. That prayer you whispered 5 years ago when you couldn't sleep. That desperate cry you released when you buried your spouse and wondered if your heart would ever feel whole again. That quiet conversation you had with God in your car, asking if He remembered you were still here, still hoping, still believing that maybe, just maybe, there was more. He heard every word. And He's been preparing an answer that will leave you speechless. This person won't erase your past. They'll honor it. They won't compete with your memories. They'll create new ones. They won't try to replace who you lost. They'll stand beside who you've become. And when they arrive, when this divine collision happens, everyone around you will see something they can't explain. Your children will see light return to your eyes. Your friends will witness joy they thought had died. Your community will whisper, "How did that happen?" And you'll know it was never about you earning it, deserving it, or being perfect enough to receive it. It was always about a faithful God who keeps His promises to the ones who wait on Him. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Your waiting wasn't wasted. Your strength is being renewed. Your wings are spreading. If this message has touched your soul, if something inside you is saying yes, even when your mind is saying impossible, I need you to do something. Share this with someone who needs hope today. There's a widow in your church who thinks her story ended. There's a grandfather who believes he'll finish his days alone. There's someone in your family who gave up on believing God still cares about their heart. Send them this message. Let them know they're not forgotten. And, beloved, subscribe to this channel. Don't miss the next prophetic word meant specifically for your journey. We're building something sacred here, a community of believers who refuse to let the world define their ending. Love has not forgotten you. Heaven is still writing. Your story is not over. It's just beginning.